You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Welcome to the broadcast. America's new tax plan hit the sidewalk today. So far, it has had pretty good response, and I want to know what yours is. Are you looking forward to a much simpler tax plan? Are you looking for a much simpler tax plan? I've been looking for a much simpler tax plan for a long time, right? There are a couple of questions here that we got to deal with. First things first, one of the things that I was talking about before the break, what you have to understand is when we are able to actually lower the amount of money that is taxed by a government, what ends up happening is it gives us more money to spend. And that is it has a dramatic effect on the economy. There are 330 million people living in the United States. And if the president is correct, he believes that $4,000 will be injected into the typical family's budget with this new tax plan. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of economic power. And that means a lot. I also need to know, by the way, whether or not you're very upset as I am that the tax plan does not do something to get rid of Obamacare. What are we doing? Why are we not? Let me turn that off. I just turned on the YouTube. Broadcast, by the way. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, once again, what I'm trying to ask you is do we actually want the Republican Party to get rid of the Obamacare individual mandate? The answer is yes. We want the Republicans to get rid of Obamacare. It's important, and they haven't done it yet. It's driving me crazy that they haven't done it yet. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? They're waiting for what? A gigantic defeat in their next election? Is that what they're waiting for? Please stop doing that. Please stop being morons. I know I'm asking a lot. Please stop being jerks. And please, by all means, start doing the right thing. Okay? It would be very, very good for you. There's also something else. Like I said, so we get to reduce the size of government because there's less money going to it. We have more economic power. That's good. But there is something else. In this particular tax plan, there's a paragraph that would end a 60-year-old ban on the clergy preaching partisan politics from the pulpit. Now, you know as well as I do that there's a lot of politicking that goes on Sunday morning. And yeah, it comes directly from the pulpit. And we know that that's the case. Everybody does. Now, the question is it okay? President Trump promised repeatedly during the campaign that after his election, he was going to repeal the so-called Johnson Amendment, a provision of tax law first adopted in 1954 that prohibited nonprofit charitable organizations called 501c3s, based on the section of the tax code that governs them, from endorsing political candidates. Trump issued an executive order on religious freedom earlier this year, and it was criticized by some conservatives for not going far enough to upend the Johnson Amendment. This, by the way, from USA Today. Paul Singer wrote this. The order directed the IRS to enforce the law consistent with how it's done so in the past, allowing speech on political moral issues as long as it doesn't advocate the election or defeat of a political candidate. President Trump could not do more because only Congress can change the law to allow churches to endorse candidates without losing their tax-exempt status. And that's exactly what the House Republicans have done. So are you okay with that? You okay with your pastor preaching politics from the pulpit? My goodness, there are a lot of P's in that. Are you okay with your pastor preaching politics from the pulpit? 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Is it okay for the padre to talk about or patronize the next president or senator or governor of your state. Huh. I wonder. Telephone number 844-927-6691. So at least there's some coverage of the president doing what he said he was going to do, which was to create a much better tax climate for most Americans. I like that very much. Now, if we can just get the rest of the garbage off the news so that we can actually find out what's going on that's good in America, maybe we'll start feeling better about living here. Cross your fingers. I can always dream, and so can you. You're listening to the Wells Report. This is the USA Radio Network. All right.
Clear.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What's this?
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's see here. So what do I want to do? I want to do this. I want to do this. I'll copy this. Then I want to go over here. Then I want to go over here. Then I want to put this right here. And then I want to do this and I want to do that.
Oh, good. Give out all the trade secrets.
Oh, yeah.
And
then I want to do this. Here we go. Okay. Then I want to copy this again. Then I want to hit post. Post, Toasties.
hey, by the way,
Yeah.
you gotta watch how you say amend the Johnson thing.
Yeah. Got to take care of the Johnson, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnson Amendment. I mean, people are gonna complain to the FCC, and I can't have it. So gotta watch.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
You know,
I know what you mean.
we can use wee. We can use no parts.
Willie? Is Willie?
Willie's fine.
I like the no parts thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, but no, you can't say Johnson. You're gonna get us fined. So yeah.
Well, you can call me Jay. And
we'll
can call me Ray.
We're just gonna call it the no parts amendment.
The no parts amendment.
Yes. That way we play the safe guidelines that we try to adhere to with this fire broadcast every day. Yeah.
Golly.
My best friend, her son,
Mm-hmm.
he nearly died when he was a little baby, and his brain went through one of those resets. He has full functionality. Now he's learning to finally walk. He's finally taking his first steps without his walker. Like I know I saw that yesterday. I lit up so big time because that made my day.
That is good.
Because she's a great mom, and she also saved my life.
Yeah.
And I keep threatening her. I keep going, hey, when do I get to spoil my nephew? She goes, I know it's coming soon. I go, yeah. So.
Huh.
So yeah, that's we gotta start calling it that. So just be careful. Ding ding's okay.
Well, yeah, your ding ding is okay.
But no, not your ding ding. You could call it the ding ding amendment.
Oh, the ding ding amendment. Yes, I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
By all means. Ding ding amendment.
Yeah, the ding ding amendment.
Yep.
Can't say Johnson.
I like it. You can't say, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We're not, what is this, Imus in the morning with the naughty talk?
Of course. Why would it not be?
Yeah. I mean, I just got you off the FCC's most wanted list. All right. So just the ding ding amendment. I guess I don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah, the ding ding amendment, exactly. All right.
What's Ryan doing at the house?
Okay, so that's going over there because we're done with that.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Just remember, ding ding amendment. No pressure.
You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for being a part of the broadcast. You can do that anytime you want to. Call us toll free live from anywhere. 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Let's go back to 2009. Go back to 2009. The president was Barack Obama. The Democrats own the House, they own the Senate, and they own the presidency. And without thinking about Republican sensibilities or anybody else's sensibilities at all, the Democrats set about spending $5.5 trillion. That's how much the United States of America went into debt in the first 2 years of the Obama administration. President Obama would eventually end up doubling the national debt from $10 trillion, which was doubled during the Bush years, from the Reagan years. It was doubled to $10 million, then or $10 trillion rather. Now it's $20 trillion, thanks to President Obama. Which is why I kind of gritted my teeth when the Paul Singer article in USA Today came out saying the GOP tax bill being rolled out today includes a premise that would be used to create $1.5 trillion of new debt. So yeah, the budget has a $1.5 trillion tax increase. So there have been words going out hot and heavy on this one. If I had a whole bunch of wins on major items up to this point, would we perhaps be a little more deliberate in our negotiations? I think the answer is yes, said Mark Meadows, the Republican from New York who chairs the hardline House Freedom Caucus. The fact that we needed to put up some major legislative victories certainly factors into how flexible I think a number of us are going to be. Yeah, that's a good statement. With Democrats united against the Republican tax plan, GOP leaders can't afford to alienate moderates in their party by mandating dramatic cuts in domestic spending. Instead, the GOP sales pitch has been that tax cuts will pay for themselves over time by driving a dramatic increase in economic growth, which is exactly the way it always does. Representative Scott Perry is a Freedom Caucus member. He says, somehow, apparently, you can't do tax reform and save money at the same time. If we've got to make a choice and either have none or at least have one, then you're going to make a choice and to have at least one. So the tax bill or the tax law the Republicans are unveiling gives away far more in tax cuts than it recoups in closed loopholes or rate increases. So the tax bill gives Republicans far more money in tax cuts than it recoups in closed loopholes or rate increases. And what they're saying is that leads to 1.5. When I say they, I'm talking about the mainstream media and, of course, the Democrat Party. They say, why, my God, that's $1.5 trillion in new debt. Did you see that? $1.5 trillion in new debt. You know, there's a small problem with their logic. Just a small bit of problems with their logic. And we can discuss that. You know, it's like you're still forgetting that when somebody makes an estimate of this type, they take a date, like today's date, and they calculate everything based on today's date. Well, that's not the way the actual economy works. There are boom and bust portions of the economy, and you can't change it. You can't change that. there are going to be good times and there are going to be bad times, and the economy is going to reflect it in these undulating waves. Yeah, I said undulating. In these undulating waves that are measured by stock market, by people with savings accounts, and so on and so on. So when somebody says, my gosh, this will give us $1.5 trillion worth of new debt, it's disingenuous. It is. It's disingenuous. And it's bordering on infuriating, actually. It does make me very angry. I can explain it. But first, I want to give you a chance. Would you please explain how the Democrat Party has the gall to criticize the Republican Party for adding to the national debt? Can you do that for me? I sure would appreciate it. I absolutely would appreciate it. Telephone number 844-927-6691, 844-927-6691. You can be here on the Wells Report right this minute. And especially if you're a Democrat, would you please explain how your party has the gall to criticize the Republican Party for adding to the national debt? I mean, I'm serious. There's just no reason for the Democrats to be this disingenuous. It's like they figure that nobody can remember back to the point where it's 2010. It's 2010 or 2011. And now we're in a position where we have watched this president, or not this president, but President Obama, spend more money than any other president ever. He spent more money than any other president. And we got very little, if anything, out of it. That's not good enough. That's just not. You don't get to be that hypocritical. You just don't. Hypocrisy at this level is so amazingly and terribly expensive that when you start bickering over it, it makes it, I don't know, you just sort of, everybody's eyes glaze over and they go, oh my God, I don't want to talk about this. You have to. It's $20 trillion. It is the biggest, it's the biggest ripoff. It's the biggest ripoff that Americans have ever had to endure. And I don't know how we're going to pay it. I mean, I realize that the economy is huge. It's a $14 trillion economy. And if it's possible, I mean, you can see that there would be a way to grow the economy out of this. But why in heaven's name, what could possibly be gained by a Democrat Party pointing out the Republicans say suddenly okay with $1.5 trillion worth of new debt? What the heck is that? Well, what it is, it's a yawning, hanging curveball that gets Democrats talking about how stupid it is that Republicans are embracing $1.5 trillion in new debt in comparison to what the Democrat Party embraced. We're just going about this the wrong way. We are just electing the wrong people. You know, this lame thing about, well, we've got to raise the debt limit again. Yep, we got to raise that debt limit. Why do you have to raise the debt limit? Are you going to plan? Are you planning on spending more, even more money than you spent? Oh, no, no, no. No, this is money that's already been spent. What? Yeah, while you weren't looking, we fixed, quote unquote, fixed a few things. Uh-huh. Really? Yeah. Yeah, what we're doing here is we are electing the wrong people. We're letting them steal from us left, right, center. It's the biggest ripoff in the history of the human endeavor, and we just let it go. And then what we end up doing is we end up watching the Democrat Party trying to point out that the Republicans are, well, they're okay with it. It must be okay then. Yeah. Yeah, we spent 5.5 trillion. Well, they just spent 1.5 trillion, so there you go. No, that's not there you go. There you go. So here we are trying to figure out how to get these people to stop it. Now the good news is that we did this once before, but it was with a lot less money. It actually led to a balanced federal budget. And if it's possible that this can hit and take hold, and if we, the people of the United States, will not lose our mind and forget that the Democrat Party has absolutely zero credibility moving forward, especially where economics are concerned. If we're able to do all that, we might be able to get some brain power in Washington. The economy will grow. This will create new money that we can use to pay back this national debt. But when we do that, as we start getting that debt down to manageable size, then the hard work of, okay, where is the constitutional amendment that demands a balanced budget every single year? Where is that? The balanced budget amendment has got to get passed. It's got to be a part of the Constitution. And while we're at it, let's put a cap on federal spending. All right, let's put a cap on federal spending. What would that look like? Well, let's say, for example, that the federal government cannot spend more than 20% of gross domestic product. How about that? Would that be a good thing? Yes, it would be a very, very good thing. We've got to move forward with this idea, and we have to hold these people's feet to the fire. And what we also have to do is we have to get the word out to Republicans and Democrats alike that this generation of Democrat politicians only has two things going for it: hypocrisy and a complete lack of credibility. Hypocrisy and a complete lack of credibility. Do you agree? I mean, how could it be otherwise? 844-927-6691. You think this is bad? Wait until we continue our conversation. After the top of the hour here on the Wells Report, you're going to hear something that will absolutely drive you nuts, especially if you're a Democrat. Telephone number again is 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Democrats saying, oh, this tax cut, it's gonna add $1.5 trillion in new debt. Yeah, okay. Okay, Mr. Democrat, $5.5 trillion in the first year. I mean, goodness gracious. The national debt went up $10 trillion during the Obama years. $10 trillion. Oh, but he's not responsible for that. Yeah, you're right, actually. He's only responsible for about 9.75 trillion of it. But that's true. We can't let it get much higher. We simply cannot. You're listening to the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network.
Okay, we had a problem with that segment. I got, you're going to learn these FCC rules.
What?
Now you're talking about growth.
Growth?
Growth. You're killing me here.
Why?
What am I going to do with you? Growth.
What?
You were talking about growth in the last segment.
Yeah.
Johnson, growth. I mean, what's next?
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, you see where I'm going with this?
Yes, I do. It's and we must stand erect as men to be able to.
God. Oh.
Stop it. There are people, there are 6 people watching on YouTube. 6. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'm and they shouldn't have to hear this. I've seen talk from you. I expect better from you.
Yeah, sure you do. Yeah.
Oh, I sent you a story on down in Brazil.
What about her?
All right. Let me go to it real fast. Down in Brazil, was brokenhearted over the proof that Hillary rigged the nomination.
Yeah, she absolutely did that. It wasn't just her. It was Deborah Wasserman Schultz.
America's favorite soccer mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, just a minute here.
I sent you the article. That's all I was telling
Call Ms. Janet Bro.
Uh-oh, I'm fired.
No, you're not fired, doofus. No. No, hang on a minute. I'll be right back. Stand by. Hey, thanks, brother. All righty then, I'm back. And so far, a phone call has not poured in. Crapola.
I know. Well, you're scaring all the people.
Okay.
Every hour with a musical number.
Oh. Oh. Well, huh. What? What did you say?
I said, I think you should end every hour with a musical number. I was just going to ask, how are you with
when the shark bites? Yeah. No. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. No.
If you want to get out of the big cities, you have to do the musical numbers.
Get rid. No. 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 Here we go. You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. If you're listening in Dallas, you're listening on KBDT 1160. That's our brand new Dallas affiliate. If you are listening around the country, why don't you check in with us? 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. There was a rumor that somebody in Washington State was listening on a radio station. We certainly want to hear from everybody from everywhere. So call Chris Campbell. Chris is our studio coordinator. He is our studio producer. So do me a favor and call Chris and check in and just tell him where you're listening. Tell him what radio station you're listening to. And once again, that number is 844-927-6691. I am very happy that the Republican Party is doing something and moving forward with some kind of legislative agenda. I'm glad that's happening. I have heard today that even Mitch McConnell has begun to see the true religion of the American people, saying, gosh, you really do need to start getting some bills through the Senate of the United States. As a matter of fact, what they're going to do here is they're going to confirm 4 more judges this week. 4 more judges, right? And so that will be good. These are federal district judges, and those are important. And so that was something I heard just before I got on the air today. So what we have to do is we have to get the Senate to break loose. Now, that was a lot of pressure. We've been saying some lousy things about the Republican Party. When I say lousy, it doesn't mean that they're not true. We've been saying true things about the Republican Party. And maybe what they're doing is hearing some of those things. Because the natives out here in the United States are restless. And I got to be honest with you. There will be changes in 2018. If we're able to pull it off, we're going to replace a lot of moderate Republicans with a lot of Tea Party Republicans, and we need to get that done. Because they are the most conservative people in America, the Tea Party most conservative people in America, and this country desperately needs a federal government that is reined in and lives within its means. In order to get that done, the Freedom Caucus, they just have to have more. They just have to have more help. And we might as well help them. So when I say north to south and coast to coast, it's not just the Wells Report that we're talking about. We're talking about a political movement to rein in a federal government so out of control. And we found out why. At least I think we found out why today. And I'll explain when I get back after the top of the hour. Whatever you do, stick with this broadcast because it's ours. And we just might be able to get some stuff done. We all stand together for a change. I really hope that that's exactly what this radio show leads to. Again, our telephone number is 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. $1.5 trillion in new debt. My gosh, the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves, say the Democrats. What are you, high? Wouldn't surprise me if you were. It's about the only way you can explain this kind of stuff. Coming up next on the broadcast after the top of the hour news with the USA Radio News. Donna Brazile has issued a book. And what she did is she went ahead and spilled the beans on treachery inside the Democrat Party. When I say treachery, it's sort of treachery. It's kind of treachery, but maybe not. I'll explain the whole thing when we get back. What I want you to do, listen to the news at the top of the hour. Really important you do that. Stay informed. Stay informed. We'll be back to talk about that news and more. And treachery in the Democrat Party. This is the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network. Did I get it? Or I get nipped?
Yeah, I did that. So I did the fade, and it was perfect. It really
Good.
was. All right. I
All right.
some news in your eardrums.
News in my eardrums. It should be Ron Taylor.
to your door. Print free for
Or
life.
maybe not.
Staples. It's pro time. Print
I think it's
15
Tim.
pages per month for free.
Is it Tim?
You go after that
think
or
so.
upgrade to another plan. See staples.com/print free for life for details.
All right.
Hi, my name is Skip Harridge. I'm the founder of
I
the
need some
Vertical
coffee.
Research
I'm gonna go get
Advisory,
some
or
coffee.
VRA.
In a minute.
After 15 years on Wall Street, I founded the VRA in 2003, my daily investment newsletter that's been crushing the market for 14 years. I tell you what to buy and when to sell and take profits, and I only target stocks that have the ability to rise by 50% or more. For the first time, we're offering a free 2-week membership. Simply go to VRAinsider.com. You also get my new book, Crash Proof Prosperity, Becoming Wealthy in the Age of Trump. Join us now at VRAinsider.com.
USA Radio News with Ron Taylor.
This program grants visas not on a basis of merit, but simply because applicants are randomly selected in an annual lottery.
President Trump is urging Congress to end the visa diversity lottery program. At the White House today, Trump said he wants a merit-based system. The suspect in the deadly New York terror attack came into the U.S. under the immigration lottery system several years ago. The president says Congress must do something about a bad immigration system.
Following the terrorist attack in New York, I'm calling on Congress to immediately terminate the diversity visa lottery program.
House Republicans are unveiling their brand new tax bill. At a Capitol event today, House Speaker Paul Ryan said sweeping tax cuts are meant to help average Americans. He said loopholes will be eliminated and complex federal tax codes will be, quote, cleaned up. Devices designed to prevent power blackouts might be linked to the Northern California wildfires. I'm Ron Taylor, and you're listening to USA Radio News.
Hello? Anyone there?
Hey, United Healthcare heading your way.
Thank goodness.
Lost in the giant Medicare maze?
It's so complicated.
No worries. United Healthcare has the people, tools, and plans to get you through it, including the only Medicare plans with the AARP name.
I'm so glad you found me.
Need to find a Medicare plan? Get help now at uhcmedicare.com. AARP Medicare plans from United Healthcare. United Healthcare pays royalty fees to AARP. AARP is not an insurer.
There are certain people you can always trust. Your grandma's friends, lifeguards, action movie heroes who tell you to trust them. But there's no one you can trust more than your doctor. And when it comes to their own frequent heartburn, doctors and pharmacists trust the power of the purple pill, Nexium 24-Hour. And when you choose Nexium 24-Hour, you'll see why. When it comes to heartburn, trust the brand doctors trust. Nexium 24-Hour. May take 1 to 4 days. Use as directed.
Officials are praising faculty and students at several schools that were near the deadly truck attack Tuesday. Scott Pringle has more.
Well, the school's chancellor, Carmen Farina, she visited the 4 schools impacted by this truck attack and says teachers and faculty stayed until every child was home and every parent was listened to.
Teachers said, well, we're here for each other. This is what we do. It was almost like an ordinary matter of fact. This is our job.
Farina impressed that attendance did not drop the day after the attack. In fact, a 16-year-old on the school bus that was smashed into by the alleged terrorist's rental truck, he made it to school the next day despite being hospitalized for minor injuries.
And what he told his mother is that he had to go to school because he was working on 100% perfect attendance.
In Lower Manhattan, Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
President Trump is making a change at the Federal Reserve. In a White House event today, Trump said he's nominating Jerome Powell as Fed chairman. Powell is a current Fed governor and will replace Janet Yellen if he's confirmed by the Senate. Yellen's term as Fed chair expires in February. This is USA Radio News.
Everyone loves liberty, so why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Stop letting others tell you what to do. Call us at 855-58-LIBERTY for more information or check us out online at libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org.
President Trump's former campaign manager will be going before a federal judge today. Paul Manafort faces conspiracy and other charges stemming from the investigation into Russian meddling during the 2016 election. He has been on house arrest since pleading not guilty to a 12-count indictment earlier this week. Manafort and former business associate Rick Gates are accused of, among other things, laundering millions obtained from Russian and Ukrainian oligarchs. An investigation into an E. coli outbreak that's making Marines sick in San Diego is underway. More than 24 Marines at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, are now dealing with the illness since health officials announced 300 Marines were sick earlier this week. Officials say about 12 recruits have been admitted to off-base medical facilities to be treated for the diarrheal illness. They say when it rains, it pours, and it's very true for a Los Angeles Dodger. Jason Campidonia has the story.
The home of Yasiel Puig got robbed last night, just minutes after losing Game 7 of the World Series to the Houston Astros at Dodger Stadium. There are reports that say the burglar smashed a back window of the LA area home and set off an alarm. The robber reportedly got away with some jewelry, but nowhere near the amount of jewelry that was stolen from the home back in May when burglars took $500,000 worth of stuff. TMZ says Puig ended his heartbreaking night talking to the cops. Jason Campidonia, NBC News Radio.
Recapping our top story, President Trump wants Congress to immediately terminate the diversity visa lottery program. At the White House today, he called it a disaster for the U.S. I'm Ron Taylor, and this is USA Radio News.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
Hey, is Ron in there with you? Hey, Ron did good.
What?
Ron did good.
Yeah, he did. He sounded fine.
Is he there, though, or is he at home?
He's at home.
I got to call him. He has to fix one thing going forward.
Okay, cool.
I'll call him after I get you out of here.
Fine and dandy. Let's see. What was I doing here? There was a. Was getting empty. Let's see here. Let's go back to here. Here we go. Hello, I'm back.
Hi.
Ha ha ha. Yes, you'll have thousands. I'll have literally thousands of eyelashes, David. Yeah, we're working on a website. I've got I'm trying to get a new logo because our logo currently is. Yeah. North to south, coast to coast, you are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Thank you for being a part of our show. You can do that by calling anytime you want to at 844-927-6691, 844-927-6691. Donna Brazil is out with a book. Donna Brazil, former DNC chairman. She left in disgrace and has issued forth a bombshell. This, according to Alex Pappas of Fox News. This is about something that is, I mean, this could be a threat to the Democrat Party. And it could be, and it may not be. It depends on how this all comes out. The fix was in after all, said Alex Pappas. Last year's presidential primary between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders was rigged by the Democrat National Committee. Sanders supporters always suspected it. Bernie Sanders he had skirted the issue several different times. He brought up a lot of things that were, that needed to be brought up. And what he did is that he didn't want to create too many problems for the Democrat Party, but his candidacy created huge problems for the party. Why? Well, because Bernie Sanders was not a Democrat. Bernie Sanders was a socialist. And so was Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a socialist. Now, we can't put that same label on Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton is certainly a progressive, which is basically a synonym. I'll leave that for the debate on another day, whether or not Hillary Clinton was a socialist and whether Hillary Clinton was somebody that was certainly interested in taking the country towards a more totalitarian communist rule. But Donna Brazil, one-time Clinton confidant, one-time CNN commentator, and DNC chairman, made the claim while touting a new book. And by the way, will this end Clinton's capability of doing any business whatsoever with the Democrat Party? Probably. The influence from the Clintons on the Democrat Party may have just been ended by Donna Brazil. Quote, I had promised Bernie when I took the helm of the Democrat National Committee after the convention that I would get to the bottom of whether Hillary Clinton's team had indeed rigged the nomination process. This, by the way, was something that a cache of emails stolen by Russian hackers had suggested. This, by the way, you can read the entire interview in Politico. All right? I've got it right here. Donna Brazil wrote her own article on this. By September 7th, the day I called Bernie, I'd found my proof and it broke my heart, said Brazil. The proof was a joint fundraising agreement document between the DNC, the Hillary Victory Fund, and Hillary for America. It had been signed August 2015, 4 months after Hillary Clinton announced her candidacy, and a year before she officially secured the nomination over Sanders. The agreement, signed by Amy Dacey, former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook, with a copy to Mark Elias, specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party finances, strategy, and all the money raised. Her campaign had the right of refusal of who would be the party communications director, and it would make final decisions on all other staff. Brazil took over as interim DNC chairman in 2016 when Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced out over the emails which indicated the party organization unfairly favored Clinton over Sanders during the primary season. Ardent supporters of Sanders, the Democrat socialist, have long accused the party establishment of actively taking steps to benefit Clinton during the primary. DNC spokesman, and I still don't know how to say her first name, Zahitl, Xochitl. By the way, if you speak Aztec, would you do me a favor and call 844-927-6691? Again, if you happen to be an Aztec, could you pull yourself away from your human sacrificing for just a moment to teach me how to say Xochitl? Okay, Wahidl? Zahitl? Anyway, Zahitl Hinojosa, I know how to say Hinojosa, worked under DNC chairman Tom Perez, told Fox News the party's official policy was to not take sides during the primaries. Now, you have to keep something in mind. The primary season is not a series of national or even state elections. They are a series of state Democrat Party or Republican Party elections. What they do is they don't actually elect a political candidate. What they do is they elect supporters, they elect delegates to the national convention to vote for given candidates. When you have enough delegates at the convention, then everything's fine. So there has been no breakage of election law in this. But certainly there's been a serious fracture within the Democrat Party as to whether or not they run an honest primary campaign season, which they do not. Tom Perez, who is now the DNC chairman, says the DNC must remain neutral in the primary process. There shouldn't even be a perception that the DNC is interfering in that process. She said joint fundraising committees were created between the DNC and Clinton and Sanders campaigns during the 2016 cycle, but Clinton was the only candidate who raised money for the party. The piece, titled Inside Hillary Clinton's Secret Takeover of the DNC, is excerpted from Brazil's forthcoming book, which is to be published this month. After taking over, she said she went in search of evidence of internal corruption that would show the DNC was rigging the system to throw the primary to Hillary. Well, you know, Bernie Sanders won a few primaries. But remember the superdelegates, whatever a superdelegate is? I had been wondering why it was that I couldn't write a press release without passing it by the the Clinton campaign. Well, here was the answer. It's typical, she said, for candidates to make such arrangements with party organizations, but after they've won the nomination. Brazil said the arrangement does not appear to be illegal, but it certainly is unethical. I agree. Everybody who voted for Bernie Sanders was wasting their vote. Totally wasting their vote. Because the Democrat Party was not going to allow Bernie Sanders to win the primary season. It would have been disastrous if Bernie Sanders did win the primaries for the Democrat Party. As a matter of fact, they would never, ever recover. If the fight had been fair, one campaign would not have control of the party before the voters had decided which one they wanted to lead, she said. This was not a criminal act, but as I saw it, it compromised the party's integrity. Well, there's no other way to say that. So let's start asking some questions. Did the DNC, the Democrat Party, the Democrat National Committee, betray the American political system by fixing their own presidential primary season? 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Did the Democrat Party betray the American political system by fixing their own presidential primary season? If you are a Democrat voter and you voted for Bernie Sanders, you didn't have a chance. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? 844-927-6691. A political party fixing the primary system. How do you recover from that? Is it possible to recover from that? Or do Democrats, rank and file Democrats, do they simply not care? Do rank and file Democrats just not care? I don't care. You see, Donald Trump certainly did win the election. It was closer because Hillary was the Democrat Party candidate. If Bernie Sanders had been able to win the primary season and become the nominee of the party, Donald Trump would have won in a 50-state landslide. There are a couple of reasons why Bernie Sanders had so much success in the Democrat primary season. A lot of those Democrat voters had not become communists overnight, but they certainly did become enemies of Hillary Clinton. Now, was that an overnight process? Probably not. Probably not. But it was something that the Democrat Party had to do something about. If Bernie Sanders had become the standard bearer for the Democrat Party would have been a socialist party. A socialist party would have no chance in the United States after having spent trillions of dollars fighting the Cold War since 1947 to rid the world of socialism, which, by the way, arguably happened in 1989 with the collapse of the socialist state known as the Soviet Union. Then all of a sudden, here we are with Bernie Sanders wandering around acting like Khrushchev and actually getting votes. So the Democrat Party, according to Donna Brazil, betrays their own primary process for the presidential election of 2016. Bernie Sanders didn't have a chance. Bernie Sanders and all of his supporters felt that that was indeed the case. Now they have proof. So what does this say about the Democrat Party? Even if you're a Democrat, can you trust your own party? 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Can you trust your own party if you are a Democrat? You're listening to the Wells Reports. This is the USA Radio Network.
You are clear, Comrade Wells.
Thank you so much.
Did you know on this day in 1980?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. How did that work? Did it spill over or anything? Perfect. Yes. This little gray thing.
I'll just talk to myself. That's okay.
Do it. Do it. Yeah, you want some of this? $23. Hello, John Cheek. What are you doing, man? How are you? I just got some coffee. Very happy. I'm very happy to say so too, by the way. All right. Let's see what we got here.
Hey, have they set you up with an Anthem broadcast? No, I think I asked you this yesterday.
I think you did too, and I think I don't know.
All right. Well,
I don't know, everybody.
I don't know.
You, Ron, and Charlie all set up with emails, so
Yes.
I'll tell you more about it in the break.
What, huh?
I'll tell you about it in the break.
What?
Yeah.
Gee, yeah. You're listening to the Wells Report. Welcome. If you happen to have a computer handy and you want to stream this radio broadcast, you can do so. We've got video going as we speak. Video. It's like the radio on TV. You can find it by going to YouTube Live Events or Google Hangouts. I haven't been able to figure out Google Hangouts yet. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how Google Hangout works, but it's being broadcast there too. So you can join us either spot and you can see our brand new 10th floor offices. There is something. Let me see if I can do something here. I don't know. Let's see. No, that's not it. Let's see. I want to save that. Let me go to, oh, that wasn't the right thing to do. Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do that. Okay, what I'm trying to find out is how I can make the picture look a little bit better. Because if you'll notice, if you go to YouTube Live Events, you will notice that I have two windows behind me in the studio. Well, that's a 10th floor view of that is I-35 headed north through Dallas. And I really would like to see you do that, but in order to do that, I have to change some of the lighting around here, and I haven't really figured out how to do that yet. But I will at some point. Wait a minute, let me see if that'll work. Okay, let's figure out what we got here. Let's see. We have to keep the application running in the background. Yeah, sure, you can do that if you want to. Advanced settings. Okay. I'm going to have to call my buddy who's a television dude. I'm going to have to call the incredible Dirk Steele to help me with this. So we'll see if I can get that done. But what I want to know is this. I am very much concerned about the future of the Democrat Party. Why? Because without anything to stop them, the Republican Party will run amok. Seriously. And the Democrat Party, even though they are probably as dishonest as the day is long, and this is proving all of this. With this dishonesty, they're the only things that keep the Republican Party honest, which is a bad state of affairs for politics in the United States, is it not? I mean, think about this. The check and balance in the United States, which is a part and parcel of a self-correcting system, which is where we are and what we have. Well, the check and balance in the Republican Party is the Democrat Party, and vice versa. Well, are they worthless? If the Democrat Party will lie to its own people, what I'm interested in is I'm trying to figure out, okay, what about, I'm trying to figure out, is that even close to reality there? We've got a real problem. The Democrat Party lied during its entire primary season. The fix was in. If it was a legal situation, people would go to jail. But it's not. It's not a legal situation. This is all party politics. So nobody goes to jail. But certainly everybody that voted for Bernie Sanders has to feel betrayed. Let me ask you this question. Here's another question to ask you about. Would the Democrat Party do this again? I'm talking to Democrats now. Would your party rig the election cycle through the primary season again? The best answer, the only way you can answer that is by saying, I don't know. Is that what you want? I mean, do you want to be able to say I don't know whether they'd rig the primary season again? Is that a good enough answer for you? It can't be. It cannot be a good enough answer. And so, Donna Brazil, a book that's going to be out in the next couple of weeks, says indeed that the Democrat Party fixed the primary season for Hillary Clinton. Is that okay with you? This is the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network. Well, why don't you just do that, Dale? Hillary's lying. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't have any idea. Okay, so there you have it.
All right, Bob's in the queue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
KBDT. Now, you realize you're being heard over Facebook, right? You want me to take them out of that?
No.
Okay.
No, fine.
All right.
Because what I'm going to bring up to you is, it's a little inside baseball. It'll be boring, but
Okay.
So
Cool deal.
I'll talk to our guy here, who sets up our emails.
Yes, sir.
We'll hear back from Janet on that. We'll get you, hopefully all three of you set up.
Well, if you could do me a favor and ask him to give me two emails.
All right.
John David Wells, JON-DAVIDWELLS.
All right, I'll tell you what. Email me what you want, and then I'll forward it off to Dave.
Okay, I'll do that right this moment.
Out there, I don't know if you want that to be embargo.
Oh, yeah, I don't want that to be there. Well, actually, I don't care if the people that are listening on Facebook hear that. That's fine.
All right.
That doesn't bother me.
All right.
Let's see here.
I'm going to shoot an email at all three of you guys. So
That would be really good. Be very helpful.
I don't know about two, but I can probably get you the one at least.
Yeah. What's the last part of it?
At anthembroadcasting.com. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No. Actually, here's Janet now. I'll get the verdict.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to do it this way.
That never mind. It's already in the process.
Great.
El Presidente Janet took care of that for you.
All right. Well, I'm going to send them to you anyway. So in case you want to just shepherd them around the old thingamabob, that would be very helpful. Okay, let's see. I want to go there and see if anything's there. Okay. You are listening to the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for joining us. Our telephone number is 844-927-6691. That's 844-927-6691. And if you happen to be living around the country, please do check in. Call our studio coordinator, Mr. Chris Campbell. He's waiting for your call at 844-927-6691. Call and tell us what radio station you're listening to. Let me get to Bob. He's listening to KBDT in Dallas. Bob, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the Wells Report.
My pleasure, sir. I think that the Republicans and the Democrats are simply puppets, and there's a puppeteer that we need to be worried about.
Who is that?
It's the deep state. It's whatever's, because we send them to Washington as a conservative, and they vote with Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, well, that's true.
We haven't prosecuted, Aberdeen or anybody.
Yeah.
Yet we, they have top secret data. They have, it's just crazy that nothing's happening in the Republican or the Democrat.
Well, and the thing about it is a lot of those people, Huma Abedin has, as a matter of fact, still got her security clearances, still being paid by the Hillary campaign. These people are still around, but the deep state is a different kettle of fish. It's not the DNC. It's not the Democrat National Committee. The deep state is former Obama administration officials, et cetera, still in government. The deep state is still wreaking havoc. There's, by the way, in case you don't know, for those people that may be new to the deep state, if you've been living under a rock for a while, there's another name for deep state activists or deep state operators. They're called saboteurs. So make sure that you understand that yes, indeed, these people are saboteurs. It's really ugly. It is very, very ugly. And we have to fix it. I know I've been saying that a lot lately. But here we are. We have the country we have. And let's talk a little bit about that country, shall we? During an interview on Fox News Channel's brand new show, The Ingram Angle, Justice Clarence Thomas, in a very rare interview, said that he does not know what Americans say they have in common as a country. Laura Ingram asked Thomas, are you surprised how things are still so rancorous in the United States about foundational issues, not about just foundational issues, even the anthem and so forth? Justice Thomas answered, no, I'm not surprised. What binds us? What do we all have in common anymore? I think we have to think about that. I think this is when I was a kid, even as we had laws that held us apart, there were things that we held dear that we all had in common. We always talk about e pluribus unum, which is Latin for of many, one. What's our unum now? We have the pluribus. But what is the unum? What brings us together? Justice Thomas said, I think it's a great country. I think we, for whatever reason, have made some people have decided our Constitution is not worth defending. Our history is not worth defending. The culture and principles are not worth defending. And certainly if you're in my position, they have to be worth defending. That's what keeps you going. That's what energizes you. It energizes me as well. I show up today, every single day, standing for the United States of America, taking the news that we have of the day and holding it up against the lens of this great nation. That's what this show's all about. Informing the American people and protecting the nation as best I can every single day. When I say I'm just the reporter. You have a part in this. As I said at the beginning of this, as I said when I first began broadcasting on the USA Radio Network, this is our show. We, the people, get to come here every single day and talk about this country as we see it. to stand for those terribly important standards, beliefs. Stand up for the greatness of our history. Stand up for the greatness of our nation. That is indeed what we do here. The justice is right. It's right for him to question what binds us together anymore. There are a lot of things that split us up, mainly Democrat politics. And the reason that Democrat politics is and progressive politics, and you don't, by the way, have to be a Democrat to be a progressive. But what you have here is you have a circumstance where lots and lots of people are trying to figure out ways to split the country down in so many different groups, to play one against the other. President Lincoln said it best, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Here's another reminder of that. From Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. What does bind us together? Is there anything that does? You see, that's why I have spent a lot of time, and I disagree with my boss on this. He says that the education system, he says the education system is the most important thing, is the most dangerous thing in America. To me, it's still the mainstream media. It's not so much that we Americans don't understand the greatness of this nation. But we are different than other Americans that live in the same country at the same time. I'm talking about the 20-year-olds, the millennials. Listen to this. According to Market Watch, millennials believe that communism sounds pretty cool. Yeah. According to the latest survey from the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, a DC-based nonprofit, 1 in 2 U.S. millennials say they would rather live in a socialist or communist country than in a capitalist democracy. 22% of millennials have a favorable view of Karl Marx, and a surprising number see Joseph Stalin and Kim Jong-un as heroes. Now look at this. Ronald Reagan is the runaway favorite in this. 60% of the respondents view Ronald Reagan as a hero. Then things begin to slowly degrade. 49% believe Bernie Sanders is a hero. 39% believe George W. Bush is a hero. 38% believe that Justin Trudeau is a hero. Justin Trudeau, really? Angela Merkel, 37%. 31% believe that Donald Trump is a hero. Hillary Clinton, 30%. And I don't have any idea how this happened, but Che Guevara, who was a communist thug, he was a hatchet man for Fidel Castro. Che Guevara is considered a hero by 28% of millennials. This, according to this Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation nonprofit survey. Vladimir Putin, 25%. Karl Marx, 18%. Vladimir Lenin, 17%. Mao Zedong, 16%. Joseph Stalin, 13%. Kim Jong-un, 13%. And Nicolas Maduro, 12%. Millennials now make up the largest generation in America, and we're seeing deeply worrisome trends, says Marion Smith, the executive director of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Millennials are increasingly turning away from capitalism and towards socialism, and even communism is a viable alternative, but they don't know what it is. They certainly don't know what it begets. The survey, which was conducted by research and data firm YouGov, found that millennials are the least knowledgeable generation about socialism, communism, and capitalism. 71% failed to identify the proper definition of communism. Ronald Reagan used to say this. He used to say that really, when it comes down to it, the United States is never more than a generation away from losing the whole thing. And that is why the mainstream media is such a danger to this nation. Garbage in, garbage out. Are we not seeing garbage in here? Absolutely we are. This is horrifying. How could this possibly be that we would actually be looking at millennials as perhaps the next great threat to American liberty and freedom? And who's responsible for that? Well, that would be us. Has our generation of parents raised the next generation of socialist communists? Have we done that to ourselves? 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Has our generation of parents raised the next generation of socialist communists? Now, a lot of this is a statistical wobble caused by Bernie Sanders. A lot of that statistical wobble was a lot of right-thinking Democrats voting against Hillary Clinton by voting for Bernie Sanders. But after all is said and done, what are we left with? Were the kids just ignoring everything? The answer is, of course, no. They weren't ignoring everything. They were paying very close attention to some things. Paying very close attention to the fact that, well, Bernie Sanders, the socialist, was saying things that really sounded good to them. You know, because they basically have nothing. And if there's anything that socialism does better than anything else, communism too. Communism makes success a liability to the society and the state. You don't want to be successful. You want to be mediocre. And that's what ends up happening in a socialist and communist state. You raise generations of people who realize that the nail that sticks out gets hammered. That mediocrity is the key to success in a society like that. In a capitalist endeavor, excellence is the key to success. In a socialist endeavor, mediocrity is the key to success. Going along to getting along. Going along to get along. That's it. And so what should we do? What do we do next? Well, we start talking about the greatness of America is what we do next. We start talking about it immediately. Joining us is Savannah. Savannah, thanks for joining us. Hello, welcome to the Wells Report.
Hi.
Hi.
I was calling. I was calling because I am 21 years old.
Yes, you
and
are.
I live in Dallas, Texas. And I was just calling for comment on you were talking about the millennials and how our parents are raising us.
Yes.
And I think it's very true that it depends on how our parents are raising us nowadays, because my parents, they really cared, and they push conservative values, and they push the, Constitution and everything like that. But I do have a lot of friends that their parents just don't really care anymore. Their parents just let them do whatever they want.
Hang on a minute. Don't go anywhere. Stay where you are. Stay put. Stay right there, because I want to hear more about you. Savannah's 21 years of age. She is a millennial. She's talking to us about her country, the way she sees it, the way she sees her fellow millennials. What does Savannah have to say about the United States of America? We're going to find out next. You're listening to The Wells Report. This is the USA Radio Network.
You're clear.
That sounded good. Ooh.
JD?
Yes.
You cannot take the calls out of my hands when I'm screening them. You got to stop doing that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was screening her, literally, and you took it away from me.
Oh, well, I didn't know that you hadn't finished.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you had not finished.
To be fair, yeah, you don't. I keep forgetting.
I had no idea.
Yeah, no, I'll have to look at it next time. I didn't mean to come at you so hard. It's just that freaks me out, because I don't know if this is going to be a firecracker or not. I thought you were done. Yeah.
Because I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything changing.
Yeah, no, I just that I got to get used to putting the location topic and all that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My fault.
No, don't even worry about it. And I'm sorry for jumping at you. It's just one thing that freaks me out, because you don't know if one caller is going to go in there guns a-blazing. I want to feel them out before they go on. So we're good. Don't you worry about it.
No problem.
Just watch how you say amendment and what you put before that.
Gotcha.
That's my bigger concern.
All right.
We're good. Don't worry about it. Oh, Caleb. Oh, yeah, I told you. Apparently, Caleb is working on email addresses for you guys.
Good.
So, one more segment in the second hour already.
I'm glad that Savannah called.
Yeah. Hey, a little trivia for you.
Yes, sir.
This was on this day in 1980, when America mourned the death of Edith Bunker.
Yeah. Wow. Mark.
Oh, yeah. Hey, while I have you here.
Yes.
I was going to tell you this.
Uh-huh. I'm listening.
Because no, hold on. I did the Google last night on it.
This is not true.
What? What's wrong?
Well, they say the salary of retired U.S. presidents is $180,000 per year for life.
No, it's $440,000.
Yeah, it's $440,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who said that?
Oh, no, this is just something that somebody sent me. Not correct. Hey, old friend. Today's National I Care About You Day. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. That's nice. John, my son sent a photo. What is this?
45 out.
Wow. Cool. 45 out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to find that radio station from Washington last night that said they were listening to you.
Cool.
So, all right, 30 seconds. Stand by. Yeah, and I apologize again for coming at your throat. I
just didn't know. I didn't know any better.
No. I'm apologizing. This one's on me now.
Oh, no big deal, buddy. Don't worry so much.
Am I still pretty?
Yes, you are. Gorgeous.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Oh, you're pretty. Pretty.
That was good. Come on.
You're listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Joining us is Savannah from Dallas. Savannah, once again, thanks for joining us. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm still here.
No, I'm glad. Make sure you turn your radio down, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I turned it down.
So talk to me a little bit about your fellow 20-year-olds. You're old enough. You're in your 20s. You're old enough to vote. Who did you vote for in the last election?
I voted for Donald Trump in the last election.
And what did a lot of your friends? Who did your friends vote for?
A lot of my friends, they voted for Hillary Clinton, but it was only because they couldn't vote for Bernie Sanders. So a lot of them wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, but then when Hillary was the Democratic nominee, they kind of just switched over just because they didn't like Donald Trump.
Well, tell me about Bernie Sanders and your friends. Why would they want to vote for him?
I think the main thing was they just wanted everything for free. You know, they wanted to have those. They wanted to go to college for free. They didn't. You know, they wanted to accept everyone, and they just. I mean, he's a socialist. They don't think that they have to work for anything nowadays.
Now that being said, they do know that nothing is free, right? I mean, you know it.
It's not as, people don't push it anymore. A lot of people think that, not necessarily that it's not free, but someone else is going to pay for it. They know someone else is going to pay for it. They just don't care. They know that someone else is going to take care of it for them. So they consider it free because they don't care. They don't pay attention to the people, you know, the taxpayers who are actually giving the money to them.
All right. Listen, I thank you very, very much for joining us, Savannah. Thank you so much for finding the Wells Report and hanging out with us today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Savannah from Dallas on the Wells Report here on the USA Radio Network. Our telephone number is 844-927-6691. Has our generation of parents raised the next generation of socialist communists? It doesn't seem as though Savannah has fallen into that trap, but she knows people that have. I mean, think about this. There was a famous statement, even before I was born, made by Nikita Khrushchev. He was the general secretary of the Communist Party back in the early 60s. What he said is that we, meaning the Communist Party, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, that we would bury you, referring to the United States of America. I mean, will millennials fulfill that promise? Do you think that at some day the United States of America could flirt with being a socialist communist state? The United Socialist States of America, USSA? Could that possibly be us? And is it because we've listened to all of these, quote, progressives? These progressives that say the United States is a terrible place? Is that really where we are? You know, we let those people practice whatever form of education they call that with our children as well, you know. So what I'm trying to figure out is just exactly how are we going to go about fixing all of this? Will the greatness of America self-correct even after a generation has been raised to believe that there might be a better way of going about it? This is the Wells Report.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey, JD, I am really sorry, man. I'm really now harping on it that I jumped on your back. When you did.
Well, I mean, we're friends, right?
Yeah, I know. You know me and my Irish guilt.
Well, just relax.
All right.
Just relax and understand that before you jump to DEFCON 3, you might want to say, well, what did he do that for? Yeah. Oh, I know why he did it. He did it because he didn't know I was done. Well,
It's all right. That's on me. I should be a little bit more diplomatic.
No problem.
I just sent you. I found the station who it was. It was KXLE. I sent you a quick little thing from Wikipedia about them.
Really?
So yeah. So I did some detective work, and I remember, he found it from last night.
How did you find it?
The guy called me. I go, "How are you listening to us?" He goes, "KXLE." I go, "Oh, right."
KXLE.
Yeah, Xavier, Lance, Edward.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, here's some news. Talk to you in a minute.
USA Radio News with Ron Taylor.
President Trump nominating Jerome Powell to chair the Federal Reserve today.
He's strong, he's committed, he's smart. And if he is confirmed by the Senate, Jay will put his considerable talents and experience to work leading our nation's independent central bank.
Powell is a current Fed governor and will replace Janet Yellen. Yellen's term as Fed chair expires in February. Trump also had praise for Janet Yellen.
For the past 4 years, she has served with dedication and devotion, and we are grateful for her total commitment to public service.
In what's turned out to be a busy day for the president, he's also urging Congress to end the visa diversity lottery program. At the White House today, Trump said he wants a merit-based system. The suspect in the deadly New York terror attack came into the U.S. under the immigration lottery system several years ago. You're listening to USA Radio News.
I'm Jay Farner from Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.05%. But choosing the right mortgage lender involves so much more than just a rate. Only Quicken Loans has earned 11 J.D. Power Awards. No other lender comes close to that level of client satisfaction. And we invented Rocket Mortgage. It gives our clients a simpler, hassle-free way to get a mortgage completely online in minutes. No one else has anything like it. And our people. Each one of our 17,000-plus team members throughout Detroit, Cleveland, and Phoenix provides absolute client satisfaction each and every day. So why would you go anywhere else to get your mortgage? Go to America's #1 online lender. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com for the best mortgage experience on earth. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Fewer Americans filed unemployment claims last week, as USA's Chris Barnes reports.
The Labor Department reports that 229,000 U.S. workers filed initial jobless claims last week, 5,000 fewer than the previous week. Economists had actually expected the number to rise slightly. The biggest increases in claims were in Puerto Rico, New York, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Friday morning, we'll see the release of the government jobs report for October. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says the suspect in the Tuesday terror attack should not be put to death. Instead, the mayor says the man accused of mowing down innocent bike riders and walkers should just rot in prison. The death toll stands at 8, with a dozen people injured after a rental truck slammed into the victims. The nomination of Jerome Powell to become the next Fed chief helped to give Wall Street a boost today. The Dow rose 81 points to finish at 23,516. The S&P 500 gained a half point to finish at 2580, and the Nasdaq lost 2 points to close at 6715. You're listening to USA Radio News.
The feeling of fall is in the air, which means it's time to pay extra attention to your skin. Beauty expert Cheryl Kramer-Kay.
I'm loving Jergens Nourishing Honey. It's infused with orange blossom essence and honey, which has loads of antioxidants, plus antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, so it's soothing to the skin. Honey is also a natural humectant, so it pulls water from the air and delivers it to your skin to keep it hydrated and nourished all day long.
Pick it up at Walmart or Target for just $5.99.
Arizona Republican Senator Jeff Flake says he has some concerns about the House tax reform bill, specifically large-scale tax cuts, while the national debt exceeds $20 trillion.
We've been hearing a lot about cuts, cuts, cuts. If we are going to do cuts, 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 we have got to do wholesale reform.
Flake says he supports reform that closes loopholes, simplifies the tax code and tax giveaways. He also supports reducing corporate tax rates so that U.S. businesses can better compete globally.
With the national debt exceeding $20 trillion, we've got to take this seriously. Rate reductions have to be accompanied by real reform. We cannot simply rely on rosy economic assumptions to fill in the gap. We've got to make tough decisions.
Flake warns there's a high cost to be paid for cutting taxes without a real reform of the tax code. The World Series champion Houston Astros are getting their victory parade. It happens in downtown Houston tomorrow. The Astros took the World Series last night, beating the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1 to capture their first title in franchise history. It's also the first championship in all 4 major sports for the city of Houston since the Rockets won back-to-back titles in 1994 and 1995. Recapping our top story, President Trump nominating Jerome Powell to chair the Federal Reserve today. He has degrees from Princeton and Georgetown University. Powell is the current Fed governor and will replace Janet Yellen if he's confirmed by the Senate. I'm Ron Taylor, and this is USA Radio News.
He sounds good. Did you hear him? I'll just talk to myself. That's okay. Hey, Brandon, you want to do an hour of Chris and Friends since JD's not talking to me? No, just go on. We'll just pick random topics. Yeah, you know, JD's real opinions on how he loves Barack Obama, thinks he was the greatest president ever. You know, I know he was a big Hillary supporter, quietly. See, I think his YouTube audience can hear me, so if he's not responding to me, I'm going to go ahead and say this stuff on the mic. Yeah. When Trump mentioned the wall, JD laughed at him. JD, are you there? Right,
I'm back.
We're coming.
North to south, coast to coast, you are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number, please use it as quickly and as regularly as you can. 844-927-6691. That's 844-927-6691. So one of the interesting things about doing a network radio broadcast is you get to talk with states you normally don't get to. We have found that we've got a new affiliate in Washington State, a state that essentially made marijuana legal in the United States. Washington State, along with Colorado, decided to make recreational use of marijuana legal. And what has been termed big marijuana, or the marijuana machine, has been rolling ahead, working its way into the American society. Now, there are all kinds of reasons to believe that this is an epically bad idea. There have been more and more traffic accidents in the states that we have been mentioning. Washington State and Colorado have had an increase of 300% in the number of car accidents in their state. Further, the incredible number of people who have died in car accidents that had marijuana in their systems, that has gone through the roof in those states. Children are showing up in emergency rooms, exposure to marijuana, not being able to pass drug tests, and on and on. This leads, of course, to the inescapable question: have we, the people, made a serious societal mistake by allowing marijuana into the American mainstream? Aaron Schwartz wrote an article in Bloomberg regarding the marijuana machine. Since Colorado legalized recreational marijuana in 2012, 7 other states in the District of Columbia have followed suit. Next year, California, Maine, Massachusetts will begin sales, potentially tripling the size of the legal pot market. By the end of 2018, 20% of Americans will live in a state where adults can legally buy and sell cannabis. Yet big problems remain unresolved, including a persistent black market that legalization was supposed to help undermine. Can you believe it? somebody came up with this wonderful idea. You know, if you really want to do something about the war on drugs, you should just make it legal and sell it. Uh-huh. Right. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Yeah, somehow forgetting about some of the most prosaic and charming stories of America's past, having to do with people who make what was called moonshine and running illegal booze all through the American Southeast. And by the way, everybody knew that as soon as marijuana was made legal in the United States, all these multi-billion, multi-trillion-dollar drug cartels were just going to go to sleep and say, well, it's time for us to find a new way to make money. Yeah, they're finding new ways of making money. What they're doing is they're killing people who are raising legal marijuana crops. They're going in and burning them down. Yeah, that's a real good idea. Yeah. There is a persistent black market. There are fights between states in favor of legalizing weed in localities that oppose it. You know, not everybody in these states believes that it's such a great panacea. Marijuana remains illegal under federal law, which casts, of course, a shadow over the entire industry, as it should. State tax revenue for marijuana sales exceeds $1 billion. California alone anticipates another $1 billion in annual tax revenue from legalization. The only problem with that is that with a $1 billion increase in taxation, it will only take 50 years for California to pay off their $50 billion debt to themselves. January 2018 is the deadline for permits to be issued. There are signs that growers and retailers just aren't going to join the state-regulated system. Why should they? They've been operating in a black market for years. Why should they just come into the light? There's no reason. Hezekiah Allen, the executive director of the California Growers Association, estimates that just 3,500 of 40,000 marijuana farmers have signed up for permits, but says that's primarily because local governments haven't issued them or have banned marijuana businesses outright. This creates problems for state regulators. We have to work with over 500 cities and counties over the state, said Lori Ajax, chief of California's Bureau of Cannabis Control. For us to issue a license, we have to make sure it's not in violation of a city or county ordinance. And because of our size, that's a challenge. California grows 13.5 million pounds of marijuana every year. Less than 20% of that is consumed in California. Growers have to downsize as new rules ban out-of-state exports. If California's markets open in January, many existing growers are left out. Tax revenues could, and oh, by the way, will fall short. The black market will persist. To become legal, marijuana businesses have to secure building permits and water rights and establish record-keeping protocols unfamiliar to an industry that's long operated in the shadows. It's going to take decades for California to regulate its cannabis industry. It's been decades that we've been making this mess, and it's going to take us a while to clean it up. Yeah, wait until they decide to re-illegalize marijuana. After we've killed enough people, of course. Yeah, after we've ruined enough defense contractors, because, you know, when you're building a fighter jet, you really want somebody high on marijuana to do the work. In Maine, where legalization passed in 2016 by less than 1 percentage point, localities retained broad powers to ban marijuana cultivators and retailers, which of course hindered the growth of the state's cannabis industry. Massachusetts has a July 2018 deadline to issue its permits. That's already been delayed once. In July, state lawmakers established the Independent Cannabis Control Commission to help develop regulations. Even with the extension, the commission's chairman, Stephen Hoffman, says the July deadline is a pretty tight time frame. Yeah, it's like these people that are high on grass all the time and decided to make marijuana legal. It's almost like they didn't think about all this stuff ahead of time. Well, it's just like alcohol. Well, no, it's not just like alcohol because we've got all these rules in place for alcohol. This is a flipping nightmare. It truly is. Early difficulties are common for recreational marijuana. Nevada faced product shortages when its markets opened in July of 2017. Alaska's first year brought in $1.2 million in tax revenue. That was short of a projected $2 million. Colorado and Washington both took in less tax revenue than expected in their first year. Revenue has grown every year and now exceeds projections. Colorado's effective tax rate is around 30%. Washington has a flat rate of 37%. Joseph Bishop Henchman of the Tax Foundation says these relatively high taxes have allowed a significant black market to persist by making legal pot expensive. Duh. States that have legalized more recently have set the rate lower. In Oregon, 17%. It's going to have to fall to about 6-7% max, or it's just not going to work. Maine and Massachusetts have proposed rates of 20%, too high. California is planning for a 15% levy that might have a chance. There isn't enough data to measure the impact of lower taxes, but Maine State Senator Teresa Pierce believes that Maine will hit a sweet spot and be able to undercut black market prices. Good luck on that. Remember, the black market is going to set the price. Legal pot is not going to set the price. Black market marijuana will simply be 20% lower in price than legal marijuana, no matter how low the price for legal marijuana gets. That's the way black markets work. As momentum behind legalization grows, a federal crackdown seems less likely. To avoid prosecution under federal law, state legislatures adhere to the 2013 Cole Memorandum, a document that was issued during Holder's tenure as U.S. Attorney General, essentially assuring states the feds will not intervene as long as they follow their own rules. But the Cole Memo isn't legally binding. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has a long history of opposition to marijuana. I think the Justice Department may rearrange the deck chairs a bit, but ultimately they're not going to change direction much, says John Hudak, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. It seems like a not so popular approach to an issue most Americans don't see as a problem. You see, that is the problem. Most Americans do see it as a problem. That's why marijuana isn't legal coast to coast. Marijuana's ambiguous legal standing limits the ability of businesses to operate normally. Major banks are unwilling to service growers and dispensaries. Marijuana companies are ineligible for common tax deductions. This August, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker introduced a bill that would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act, legalize it federally, and withhold prison funding from states with racial and class disparities in their marijuana arrest rates. With Republicans in charge of Congress, the bill is largely symbolic that leaves states with legalized pot trying not to attract undue attention from a potentially adversarial Trump administration. I think as long as we keep our noses clean, we'll be good, says Republican Washington State Senator Ann Rivers. So here we go. Marijuana, the new toy. and it's killing people. And it's like, you know, cigarette smoking is just horribly, terribly awful for you. But smoking marijuana isn't. Oh, really? You ever smoked marijuana? You ever smoked it? Yeah, it's not good for your lungs. Just saying. So, I mean, there are going to be a lot of people that try to say otherwise, but that's because they're flipping lying to you. So funny. What a dumb move. Marijuana in the mainstream of the United States. Are we nuts? This is the Wells Report of the USA Radio Network.
But if you smoke enough of it, you crave them. You're clear. Hey, hold on.
Sure.
Let me hold on, guys. Let me pitch Dan Notley, who you talked to.
Yeah, the only problem with it is this.
JD.
Here's the problem.
JD.
Traffic accidents
JD.
in Colorado.
JD.
Increased. Yeah. This is funny. This is funny. This is, you know, the Denver Post.
Hey,
they're saying that, let's see.
Can you hear me?
All right, here we go. This is actually. It cannot be definitively linked to legalized pot. More people are smoking. How could it not be?
I don't think any more people are smoking.
No, he's got his headphones off.
Well,
If they were going to smoke, they were going to smoke anyway.
yeah, but they weren't going to go anywhere.
Hey, JD.
Let's see. Those who tested positive for alcohol and fatal crashes. 40% increase in the number of all drivers involved in fatal crashes. 40% increase in fatal crashes from 627 to 880. Those who tested positive were not available. Figures, yeah, okay. Figures grew 17% from 129 to 151. By contrast, number of drivers tested positive for marijuana use jumped 145%.
Hey, JD.
Well,
they may be
47 to 115.
Well, but they're
If it was 470
see,
to
that's
750, then
see, that's the problem. See, that's the problem with all this. This is so politically garbage. Like, for example, you're not drunk at 0.08. Your blood sugar, your blood alcohol level at 0.08, you're not drunk. You can feel it, but you're not drunk. No, I mean, if you, but you, do you know what, the actual original drunken driving blood alcohol rate was? It was 0.20, then it was 0.15, then it was 0.10, right? And that's when things began to get ridiculous. And suddenly when they hit that break point after 0.115, when they hit that break point, they started having more drunk drivers because more people were driving home thinking they were fine when they were actually drunk drivers.
JD.
they weren't drunk when they left, but as the alcohol metabolized, then they got drunk.
Well, all I can say is it's a mess.
And there's another referendum I'm putting on next week in Colorado to raise the
JD.
taxes on pot to pay for mental health care.
Of course.
Are you there?
Nope.
Hey.
Well, then what ends up happening is the black market starts. We were just talking about that.
It's still cheaper than the black market, and it's controlled, and it's pure, and you know what you're getting. And what we're finding in other places, Kentucky, for example, my sister was saying they're putting fentanyl in pot.
Oh.
And people are dying. So at least when you're getting it from a controlled pot store, you know what you're getting.
Well,
JD.
You can have that right there in your
tie stick.
JD.
Tie stick.
Get on the mic.
Yeah.
JD. Hey, JD. You there? Oh, hey, Dan, eat my ass. You ready?
Hello?
Hello?
You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. We're looking at some of the traffic statistics in Colorado, and I ran across a group of stories, and I guess. And I'm trying to find that for you here. Yeah, let me give you this. This is Colorado State Patrol. The number of people who were involved in traffic accidents that had marijuana in their systems went up something like 300%. Here we go. This is this article. This article has some interesting information for you. There was a 40% increase in the number of all drivers involved in fatal crashes in Colorado. The number of drivers who tested positive for marijuana in those particular accidents jumped 145%. Now, these are small numbers. In 2013, 47 people tested positive for marijuana. In 2016, 115 tested positive. State law does not require coroners to test deceased drivers specifically for marijuana use in fatal wrecks. Some do, some don't. Many police agencies don't pursue cannabinoid tests of a surviving driver whose blood alcohol level is already high enough to charge them with a crime. And this is the thing that I think is the most important. Barbara Deckert is a Colorado citizen. Her fiance, Ron Edwards, was killed in 2015 in a collision with a driver who tested positive for marijuana use below the legal limit and was charged only with careless driving. I never understood how we'd pass a law without first understanding the impact better. That is the issue. That is the issue. Do you have any idea how long marijuana is in your system, how long THC is in your system before you are not high any longer? You have any idea? Neither does anybody else. You have no idea how much is in your system and makes you high. These people are talking about, well, it was below the legal limit. Well, nobody has any idea what the legal limit is. I mean, and I just find that ridiculous. Now, I was just talking to a friend of mine just moments ago, and I said a lot of these numbers are politicized, and that's another problem that we have. We don't have solid, straightforward data. But let's just use some common sense, shall we? You have people who drink alcohol, and then you add to that group people who smoke marijuana. Now, of the number of people who smoke marijuana, are there any more that are smoking now that it's legal? Or because it's now legal, they're in a position where they don't really think about whether or not it's any big deal to light up a fatty when you're somewhere where you can smoke, as if there was a place. So in other words, if it's not illegal anymore, it's no big deal to seriously haul out a joint and start puffing. So you don't normally do that in your backyard any longer. You have to go, you can do that anywhere you want, which means you're traveling. The Denver Post came up with this. In 2013, drivers tested positive for drugs in about 10% of all fatal crashes. By 2016, that number had doubled. More drivers are testing positive for marijuana and nothing else. Of the drivers involved in fatal crashes in 2014 who tested positive for cannabinoids, more than 52% had no alcohol in their system. By 2016, that had grown to 69%. The average age of drivers in deadly crashes in 2015 who tested positive for marijuana was 35, with a quarter of them over 40. In 2016, of the 115 drivers in fatal wrecks who tested positive for marijuana use, 71% were found to have delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, in their blood, indicating use within hours. Of those, 63% were over 5 nanograms per milliliter. That's the state's limit. So what are we telling you here? There are more people driving high. Is that what we want? This is the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network.
Hey, I got an idea for you. Next segment, Dan Noe, who's our assistant. I don't know what he does here. I think he's a mailroom clerk. He is pro pot libertarian. You want to do a couple minutes with him?
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Well, because we're going to change topics.
Oh. I mean, look, I don't want to say anything about Dan, but he's come in here, bloodshot eyes, an armful of Haagen-Dazs and Funyuns, slams it all down, drinking 5 gallons of Mellow Yellow. That's why I was trying to get your attention. I was like, come on, we can do this.
Oh, sorry. Is that what you said, yo?
Yeah. I was like, because Dan would be good on debating this.
Well.
Come on.
No, we're going to change topics.
To what? Or do I have to stay tuned?
You have to stay tuned. I don't want you to leave. I don't want you. I don't want you to tune away. I don't want you to tune away from the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
It's critical.
I'm listening to Dr. Laura while you're on.
Dr. Laura. God.
I'll go take on the day. I miss my husband. Yeah. No, I was like, JD, I was like, because I thought Dan would have been a great quick segment with you.
Well, it's going to come up again. Let's remind ourselves.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, Dan, next time we do this, you're on. So just go with me on that. But yeah, I mean, you were actually getting some office reaction here from that.
What?
The whole hot topic.
What are they saying?
They're disagreeing with you.
They're can't possibly be.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We could do a good segment on this if we stretch it.
People disagreeing with me.
Well, I mean,
out of the question.
Listen, once you get the star power of Ralph Humphrey.
Ah, shit. Son of a bitch. God damn it.
What happened?
Oh, hell.
What happened?
Nothing.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please don't. Please don't. This is the problem right here. We built this thing twice. It cost $1,200 a piece to do that. How much time do we have?
We got about a minute.
Just.
All right, you're fine. You're fine.
No, actually, I'm not. Just don't do anything else. What? Huh?
Did that go out over Facebook?
Oh, of course. Don't worry about it. They've heard me say that before.
He says it to me all the time. You're all right. Just take a breath.
Well, I'm not. You keep saying that to me. Son of a gun. All right.